Thank God it's Friday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Obi Ajulo Olabisi Ubu, and with me are the ladies. Miriam Longe, how are you doing today?
Fine, thank you.
What's going on?
What's going on? It's it's a rainy day. Is it raining?
Yes,
yes,
it's raining.
Rainy
Heavy.
day, a bit cool, which is nice. Yeah, nothing really for the weekend, but looking forward to it. So yeah.
Okay. How are you doing, Ramat?
I'm doing well, so looking forward to the weekend. I'm going to have a nice time with my friends that just came in from Kano.
Oh, wow. Did they bring kuli-kuli? Did they bring kilishi?
Kuli-kuli? Oh, okay, don't worry, I'll get some
Thank
for you.
you.
They brought only kuli-kuli, but no kilishi. But there is dambunama. I don't know if you know dambunama. That's some
would like
shredded
that.
meat.
Hey now, that's like the best of the best.
I want
I'm
my
looking
own.
forward to that hangout and all.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would be nice. Are
yeah.
you making something special for them?
No, not really.
Lagos
We're just going
delicacy
to, yes,
that
I
you
just want to
plan
take
so
them
far.
to the beach. You know, they always like the beach area,
Anytime
and
they
also
come.
I'm taking them to the beach and then
It doesn't rain
some
though.
other places.
Yeah.
Oh, dance in the rain.
And how long are they
Play
staying?
in the rain.
How long are they staying? For a
And
while?
we're just going to stay for like, I think, a week, yes.
A week.
Yes.
Ah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Top Mark Adige, TMO Speaks, real estate developer.
Yes.
Can I met today?
Ebona Potu TVC, Ebona Potu.
Now your view.
So we have learned small Igbo. I'm doing very well. I am speaking at the Accelerate Business Growth Masterclass in Ikeja Marriott
Nice.
tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm sure registration has closed, but if they are interested, they can check my stories. But I'm also this week has been a lot of drama in my business. People are doing what they know how to do, but God passed them. So I'm grateful to God. I'm going to have to call out the process for which we get people awaiting trial from the prison to the courts because for over a month, 2 of my staff were accused of stealing cables and they did not confess. There was no evidence. They were beaten, hospitalized. I paid for hospital treatment for 2 of my staff. They are farmers. There are pictures of them. They worked with me for over 6 months and they had been working on the farm and they were accused of stealing eco-disco cables. We went to court. We said, what evidence do you have? The police said the military brought them. There was no delivery note. I have followed up. My lawyer has gone to magistrate court 3 times. And one time they said there was no fuel. Second time they said the truck broke down. Third time they said the people they were going to take to the court were too many. My boys did not fit into it. So these are boys who are innocent, hardworking Nigerians who have been locked up for over a month simply because of some inefficiencies within the legal system to get them out of the case. They are going to dismiss the case. The police have said they will dismiss this case. So if a case is going to be dismissed,
Why is they keeping
and
them?
I am paying legal fees for every time my lawyer goes to Ekpe,
Oh.
I am sending them money for food every two days, and these boys are suffering in prison, getting mixed up with criminals. I don't even have the liver to employ them back when they come back because I feel like they've spent too much time with criminals. I don't know, because these were innocent boys, though. They don't know anything. So I feel so sad. I didn't want to do this. I've mentioned it offset. I've tried all my connects, but the system is not working. And the system is making innocent Nigerians suffer.
Making things
Please.
difficult.
That's a serious case.
It's very serious thing. And there are
Shocked
some
I'm
people
just
there
hearing
too
it.
that do not have
We're on
lawyers.
break.
Sorry about that.
I did not mention it at all on TV. I didn't
That's
want
so
to.
somebody can
Yes.
help.
I pray someone will come.
Someone has to step in.
It's from
Yes.
Ikoyi
Serious
prison. No.
case.
From
Yes.
getting from Ikoyi prison, they say they said there was an accident. One excuse or the other,
And they are innocent.
and they are innocent.
Well, yeah. So,
And you,
But I know your weekend is going to be sweet.
yes.
Don't let my own. It's just temporary.
I've been working. You know, when we pray, God should send work.
Yes.
Work has came double doses. I was shuttling 2 movie sets. Papa, I was not sleeping, though. I've not slept since 3 a.m. I got back yesterday, 3 a.m. And it's been like that back to back. But this weekend, I have an event this night. I have a movie premiere tomorrow.
Awesome.
One of the movies, that one that I played.
Hey,
Yeah,
coming
tomorrow,
out.
yes.
Yeah. No,
We're going to be there. It's not my movie now. I was invited to. And then we have plans for other things. However, my stepfather died day before yesterday. That's my mom's husband. Yes.
oh, so sorry for your...
Yeah, I haven't even had time to see her, but I'm going to see what I can do this weekend so I can go to the place because I was on set when I got the call. And yeah.
Sister's
Yes,
dad.
yes.
Yeah,
So
so sorry.
we're planning a burial very soon, hopefully.
Sorry.
And we're going to be fine. It's part of life. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll take the newspaper reviews. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Congratulatory message to the president in front of the papers. Tita Security Services Nigeria Limited, the strategist and performer, congratulates Mr. President on hitting the one-year mark. Tinubu Louds Marking Day opens 76.67-kilometer Alawa-Akala Road. 30,000 successful applications in for student loan. 9.5 million people visit portal in 1 week. Security has improved under Tinubu, says ex-UK envoy. Court to sentence Donald Trump for felony July 11th. What stories do we have in the nation? Who's ready to go?
All right, so of course I'm going to take the story about the new road. This is a road linking Ishenyi, Fakpote, Ogbomoso Road, and it's been named after the former governor of Oyo State, Adebayo Alao Akala. This was done yesterday. The president, represented by the vice president, the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, the governor of Kwara State, and many other high-ranking politicians came to applaud. They came and they applauded Seyi Makinde for the good work of providing infrastructure within Oyo State, and they also mentioned that it is achieving infrastructural growth is collaborative, and Oyo is not a place where that lacks hospitality. It's a pace setter. They just spoke a lot about Oyo, and they spoke about the fact that the reason it is being named after the former governor was to acknowledge his contributions to the state. Governor Seyi Makinde was on the receiving end of a lot of positive accolades, and I think it is good for the state. Particularly, I just wanted to take the story because it is close to home. So,
And you've done that.
I have a former British diplomat, Mr. David Roberts, who has praised the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration for improved security situation in the country. He says he commended the efforts of the National Security Advisor, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, whose strategies and advice, he says, has brought about the lowering of insecurity. So, according to him, he says the giant of Africa went from being the third most terrorized country in the world under President Goodluck Jonathan to becoming the second most insecure nation on earth under President Muhammadu Buhari in 2015 and 2016, while holding the fourth position from 2017 to 2020. But it said Nigeria made significant progress last year, scoring 8.065, a figure it improved upon this year by scoring 7.575, and pointed out that the performance ought to be positively projected to rebrand Nigeria. He says that the GTI, that's the comments of the GTI, that terror killings and terror killings that occur now in Nigeria, mostly between rival terror groups and bandits, explaining that the infighting among non-state actors meant that Nigerian military has been able to infiltrate them and turn them on each other. He says a lot of positive things. He talked about the Abuja-Kaduna road. There hasn't been an incident on that road in 2020, so far in 2024. So he says that this is a good thing, but we're not talking about it enough. We're not hearing about it enough. So, yeah, we're doing better on insecurity.
All right.
Okay, so I have the story of 30,000 successful application in for student loan. They said 30,000 young Nigerians have successfully applied to obtain the student loan, an initiative of the Tinubu administration. The portal, which was opened 1 week ago, has been visited by 9.5 million people, while 60,000 have partially registered for the scheme. The loan fund, Akitunde Sawyer, spoke on progress so far that the scheme, which is a cardinal campaign promise of the President Bola Tinubu, Ahmed Tinubu, is designed to provide all the funds for the students so that they'll be able to concentrate and be able to access these loans. And then he said, we are pleased to report that over 90% of the federal institutions of higher learning have submitted their students' data to NEL Fund. However, we urge the remaining 2 federal universities and 5 federal polytechnics to expedite the process to ensure that all eligible students can access the funds, financial support. He said that the 60,000 applicants who have submitted their own It's only 30,000 that have been successful, but not that the 30,000, they've not yet given them, they've not disbursed the funds to them.
To them yet?
Yeah, yet.
Okay.
So
the
let's see how
federal
that
government,
goes.
I had this, took a story inside the papers. The federal government has said it had trained 10,000 teachers and educators in preparation for the takeoff of 37 smart schools built across the country. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, was the one who announced this at the inauguration of the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, Digital Resource Center, DRC, yesterday in Abuja. And it said that the federal government had established 37 smart schools in different parts of the country, one per state, and the FCT to boost information communication technology, that's the ICT. Then inaugurating the UBEC Resource Center, the Minister for Education has said that it was designed to enhance the provision of smart teaching and learning and support implementation of smart education in Nigeria. He said 10,000 teachers and educators have received various forms of training at the center in preparation for the full takeoff of the 37 smart schools. They also said the center is second to none in the world. There cannot be a better time to develop digital technology in education than now. And, you know, talked about the current administration that's building, also planning to go into vocational schools across the country as well. So while we're doing tech, we're also doing vocations for people who cannot access, you know, can also focus on their vocations. And for me, vocation is the way of the world. It's about your skill set, basically. So let's move on now to the Punch. I'll take the headlines and we'll take a short break. 336 state institutions listed as 60,000 registered state students to be onboarded in 3 weeks. Applications received from 90% of federal schools. Tinubu mulls new executive orders on tax, fiscal reforms. Emirate tussle, Kano governor meets Ribadu Sanusi, makes first appointment. Trump guilty in hush money trial, faces sentences in July. LG funds, federal government states begin legal fireworks, June 13. Lasema blames occupants as 4-story building collapses in Lagos. IPOP sit at home. Governors react at 2 soldiers killed and businesses grounded. We'll be taking a breather here. When we come back, we continue the newspaper reviews. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. We'll be reviewing the Punch. Who's ready?
Yes, so federal government states begin legal fireworks June 13th. So in the Punch, it says the Supreme Court on Thursday gave 36 state governors of the Federation 7 days to file their defense to the suit that's been brought against them by the federal government through the Attorney General of the Federation. And the court has also said that the filing of processes and exchanging of same must be completed within 9 days. So what are the charges or allegations brought to the court against states by the federal government? I'm going back to the Nation to read it because it breaks it down in such a way that I think it will be easier to communicate. So it says, first, the federal government, on behalf of the federal government, the governors are being accused, among others, of arbitrarily running the local governments. It's also alleged that some governors run local government areas with appointed administrators as against elected officials, as prescribed by Constitution. The federal government is praying the apex court for an order prohibiting governors from unilateral, arbitrary, and unlawful dissolution of democratically elected leaders for local governments. It's asking the Supreme Court for an order permitting the funds standing in the credits of local governments to be directly channeled to them from the Federation account in line with the provisions of the Constitution, as against the alleged unlawful joint accounts created by governors. It's asking for an order stopping governors from constituting caretakers to run the affairs of local governments as against the constitutionally recognized and guaranteed democratic system. Also, the federal government wants an order of injunction restraining the governors, their agents and privies from receiving, spending or tampering with funds released from the Federation account for the benefits of local governments when no democratically elected local government system is put in place in the state. And they are being sued through, their respective attorney generals and much more. I just felt I had to go back there because it breaks it down.
Give us the details.
Yeah. So that's what they're in court for. So in 9 days, we're going to hear, June 13th, we're going to hear the back and forth, federal government and state government.
Okay, so a 61-year-old man, Olalekan Ugumaki, lost his life after tires that pulled out from a moving truck crushed him to death in the Alaka area of Lagos State. That's Surulere.
Oh.
They said he was attached to the office of the Lagos Waste Management Authority in Ijora, and he was heading to a location in the state when the tires from the truck pulled. The truck was still in motion, so 2 tires pulled out and rammed into him. So he fell lifeless. He had injuries. By the time they rushed him, passers-by rushed him to the hospital. They had confirmed he was dead. And they said, the truck driver did not stop. He continued. So some suspecting that he either knew what was happening and decided, or he was not aware because the vehicle was still in motion.
They usually have 2 tires.
Yes, the extra one. So he was, but investigations are ongoing. He's been deposited in the Rando Hospital mortuary. May his soul rest in peace. What other stories do we have?
Okay, so I have the 10 escape deaths, story building collapses on Lagos Island. It looks like that Lagos Island stories are, buildings are just collapsing anyhow. They said that same building was marked by Lagos State Building Control Agency for evacuation before it subsequently collapsed. So they said the incident occurred near the Oba of Lagos, Rilwanu Akiolu's Palace, Lagos Island at 11 a.m. yesterday. It was gathered that at the scene of the incident that the immediate cause of the incident was due to ongoing renovation being carried out on the residential building. They are still having renovations on that building that has been marked.
Ew.
Imagine.
We don't hear what.
Men of the Lagos State Emergency Management Authority, Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service, Nigerian Police, among other emergency responders, rushed to the scene to save trapped victims. But they said that no fatality at all. Yeah, at least they were saved and rushed to the hospital. They just have small injuries here and there.
Thank God.
So, EFCC, another money issue. This particular one is one that I'm very familiar with. I was at a party, I think, last week, and I saw them carrying bundle of money to spray. So this woman, and let me see.
After all the warning.
Yes, so she was found with 897,900 because they are. It's not like I want to spray money, but I asked, and they now said if I want to collect 20,000 naira, I will pay maybe like 30,000. Like
for that,
for a bundle of 20,000 naira.
Means notes now. They sell it.
30,000 naira. What kind of business is that one? So they've caught one of them, and she was arraigned.
You're happy.
Yeah, obviously, see her face.
She was arraigned in the Ikoyi court that as she pled guilty, she's only 76 months in prison. There are many of them, EFCC. You just go to all these event centers, you will see them. You hold the body like this. I don't even know how
but
they
can they stop spraying?
We will be using invitation to enter hall. People that carry bottle of body will enter hall with money, and they are able to give. But they don't have a money box. You know,
like the churches, like what we do in church. Yeah, that's better. Just put your money there.
Like offering.
Yeah. Let's move on now to Vanguard. It's so funny. Major headline. Minimum wage. Labour may begin nationwide strike Monday if today's meeting to decide next line of action. Labour. Governors gang up stalling minimum wage negotiations, according to the story. LG autonomy, that's local government autonomy. Supreme Court gives governors 7 days to respond to government suit. I think we've taken that story. U.S. court finds Donald Trump guilty on all counts in historic criminal trial. I hope somebody has that. Rivers, court stops Amewule, 24 others from parading as speaker, lawmakers. Federal government inaugurates interministerial committee on review of intellectual property policy. GTI shows Tinubu Ribadu scaling up security, says ex-British diplomat. Biafra Day, 3 soldiers killed as sit-at-home turns bloody in the southeast. Calm as district heads pledge loyalty to Sanusi amid legal tussle. World Cup qualifiers blow for Eagles as Leverkusen star Teller opts out. What stories do we have in the Vanguard?
You want to hear about America?
Yes. Tell us.
Because we have our issues. I don't know if you want to
tell us about America.
So former United States President Donald Trump faces sentencing on July 11th. He was found guilty of falsifying business records to commit election fraud, and he was convicted yesterday. So he was the first former U.S. president to be convicted of criminal charges. They said the charges that were leveled against Trump We have his involvement in a clandestine scheme to conceal hush money payments. So he had been in a relationship with a porn star, and in order to shut her up as the election for 2016 was coming up, he made a payment of $130,000 to her to ensure her silence. There are so many other things. They said that he was complicit in a scheme that involved a former publisher of the National Enquirer. It's what they call catch and kill. I mean, there are so many things.
Would it stop him from contesting the election?
So there's so many issues, right, that I'm happy for them that they're able to bring such a person and try him, and he's convicted.
Following the rule of law.
Yes, you know, because I don't know if that can ever happen in our own country.
We get there. We get there. We just started.
But there's so many. But now we will now see if Americans are better than everybody else.
Like they claim.
Because is he still going to run for presidency? Is he still going to run for the elections? Are they going to let him with all these charges?
You can come from prison and go to the throne.
Yes.
Even the Bible days.
Okay, now we continue.
Yes. What other stories do we have? The Vanguard?
Okay, so I have the story of the Kano governor meets Ribadu Sanusi, makes his first appointment. So they said the Kano State Governor, Abba Yusuf, met with the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, at his office. The meeting, which lasted for more than an hour, was on issue of the dissolution of the 5 emirates by the State House of Assembly, and also the restoration of Muhammad Sanusi as the Emir of Kano. And again, you know, earlier, during when the crisis was hot, there was a time at the height of the crisis in Kano, the Deputy Governor, Aminu Gwarzo, had accused Ribadu of allegedly facilitating the return of the Ado Bayero, the dethroned Emir of Kano, to the palace by providing him with 2 private jets. And then Ribadu now threatened a lawsuit and demanded immediate public apology, which Gwarzo apologized, saying, "We were misled." And that was what happened. So he now said that, okay, so the governor, Dawakin Tofa, said Yusuf met with the NSA and they both discussed state and national issues. The 2 political leaders deliberated on various matters relating to the state, national development, and peaceful coexistence of the nation during their discussion. So at least now there's peace restored into Kano. That's what's most important.
So let me take the major headline, still on the minimum wage talks. And they're saying that there are strong indications that organized labor may begin nationwide strike from Monday, June 3rd, over the minimum wage issue. So they've been having a meeting, and they said it was the second time the NLC, representatives were walking out on the meeting because the federal government had not proposed something meaningful. So they went from 54,000 to 57,000 and finally added another 3,000, which is 60,000. So Labour was not having it, and they walked out of the meeting. However, they're going to be having another meeting today. And they are hoping that, the federal government will be able to meet them somewhere. If not...
Where's the somewhere?
I don't know. From 615, they came down to 490-something, I believe. And federal government is just adding 3,000. It's just sort of ridiculous. But I hope that they come to a conclusion so that we don't have another strike on our hands.
We can't afford strike right now. We can't afford strike in Nigeria.
Yes, I'm going to take the story of the Presidential Tax Committee has made a recommendation, which I think is laudable. They said that they've recommended that the custom exchange rate, so the custom import duty is actually being exchanged. The exchange rate is general exchange rate is between 900 to 1,700. They are saying that the best way to make it convenient for Nigerians to bring in things into the country is to peg custom duties at 800 naira. Some analysts have criticized the approach, noting that it is bad for business, that puts business planning in disarray, but according to them, they feel like because of the constant erratic behavior this year so far, custom has had to change the import duty over 40 times. So let's not be having those changes happen anymore. Let's peg at 800 for the rest of the year. Okay. But that might also mean, what if Naira now appreciates into like 700? Will we now still keep it at 800? But Mr. Taiwo Yedele was saying that this is the right direction, that if people can plan without having to suddenly in 24 hours have the price change better for business, according to him. I'm really expecting a whole lot from Mr. Taiwo Edele's committee, because when we interviewed him, we felt like he was a competent person. Whatever policy he proposes should be allowed to fly through. Let us see how it works, because economy is not economy at the moment. So
honestly, especially this particular story, I'm a bit disappointed because I bring in machines. So for a long time now, I've not brought in machines because I can't bring in machines and start changing prices.
Right?
Yes, I start changing prices. So
my sister is well. Quickly, the last paper for today, Nigerian Tribune. We'll just take the stories we haven't taken. So I have court declares 25 pro-Wike lawmakers seat vacant. I don't know if somebody has that. 4 soldiers feared killed as gunmen enforced sit-at-home in Abia. I think we should take that.
Yeah, I took at least 4 soldiers were killed on Thursday. Gunmen suspected to be members of the insecurity network attacked soldiers in Aba, the commercial hub of Abia State. They said that these hoodlums were about 15. They attacked soldiers about 8 a.m. at the military checkpoint in Abia Junction in the commercial city. The gunmen were said to be enforcing a sit-at-home order that had been declared by IPOB across the southeast to mark Biafra Day. This is something that they celebrate annually. So a witness who identified, I'm not going to say the witness name, but it says that they were identified that they were hoodlums, they were wearing masks, they stormed the junction and opened fire on soldiers.
Oh, God.
4 of the soldiers were killed immediately. He said that he noticed that there was another soldier that had sustained injuries, but from the way he looked, he does not even think he would survive it. He says other innocent passers-by too were affected. Some of them, got hit by this gunshot. There have been video clips apparently going around on social media showing the attack as it happens. This is horrible.
For, yeah,
this is horrible. The military is being attacked yet again by Nigerians. So
we can do better.
Yeah. Thank you, ladies. That's all we can take on the newspaper reviews. When we come back, we move on to our top stories for today. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. Now, shame is a common self-conscious emotion that many women experience but may not recognize it immediately. Sex and sexuality especially are often associated with shame, especially for women. And women in most African cultures have also been taught to feel ashamed of being single, of initiating intimacy with their husbands, of having money, of their inability to keep a man, of being a single parent, and several more. What do you think about this? You can join the conversation and call us on 081-0764-1679 or 090-2416-3440. So let's talk about this shame issue. And I think this conversation is very layered, right? Because I know that even from childhood, somehow the society initiates you into this shame culture. Don't you know you're a woman? You go to your husband's house very soon. Don't you know that you're supposed to have a child? You must be married at so age. Once you're graduating from school, everybody's looking at you. Where is the man? And when there's no man, you should be ashamed of yourself. You do anything in the house, you are not paying the bill, you should be ashamed of yourself. You don't have this money, you should be ashamed of yourself. So then when it comes to sexuality, that one is the most painful part, even to your own spouse. I've heard women say that they are not even able to initiate sexual relations with their own husband because I'll be seen as a bad girl. Is that shame that's we have carried on from generation to generation? Now the conversation is, how do we begin to sort of strip off this shame in a way that allows people to live and be authentic in themselves. I don't know if we can be able to handle this in this conversation, but who's ready to go first? Or give us your shame story, first of all.
I can't immediately remember a shame story, but I know that shame has been used as a tool for keeping people in line. You know, shame is a cultural tool that we use to align people, compel obedience, you know, and force. If you, even as small as primary school, a child, if you pee on your bed, they will bring you outside.
Yeah.
We've seen videos now.
Yeah. Shame you.
So that, so it's a way of saying, let's use this to discipline, compel compliance, compel that you follow the line. And we're not seeing that shame, the way we implement it here, brings trauma that makes people suppress themselves. Because if I say anything, they will shame me that I'm being too emotional. If I cry, they will say, there's a element of shame. Do you know how many women commit abortion simply because they are ashamed of the response, the repercussion that will come with
carrying the child?
Not because they don't want to have a child, not because they cannot afford to, but the shame of what people will say. Let me just not do. So what might have started out as a tool to bring about alignment has become a traumatic force that has repressed a lot of people from being able to fully express themselves and do what they really want to do. So it's an interesting conversation to have. I'm excited about how we can unlock this and see how we, thankfully, Nigerians and Africans are more open to psychology. We're studying more into how the human mind works to see the implication of what this shame culture is bringing to us and looking for how we can achieve the same purpose, which is raising more wholesome children, raising women that are more confident. Even though raising women that are more, what we want is obedient children. Let's not get it right. The reason they use shame and discipline and corporal punishment is to keep you in line, obedience. So we found that we're trying to explore options of how we might not use shame and corporal punishment and still achieve a functional adult as opposed to traumatized adults that we've churned out in large quantity right now, and we're seeing the results in other areas of our lives. So I feel it is a strong topic, and I feel that shame is not a useful tool.
At all.
Rather, shame leads to a lot of emotional baggage that many people struggle with, especially when you now become adults. You cannot even explain it. Your child is, you are dealing with your own, and you are having to raise another child. That's why we are seeing it move from one generation to the other.
You want something, you cannot open your mouth and say,
yes, because you're ashamed of what they will say.
You're a bad girl.
So for me, right, first of all, shame as an emotion, I feel is necessary. It's a necessary emotion.
Okay.
Because it brings to your, what I believe shame is something that brings to your consciousness, you know, when you've done something wrong, you've done something foolish, you know, and then when you have that, and I'm talking of a person, when you realize, you've acknowledged that I've done something wrong, I've done something foolish, then you feel shame. What it does is it guides you for the future. You know, you either change your ways, you apologize. So that is what I think essentially shame is meant to be. If we remember the story in the Bible with Adam and Eve, and when God says, why are you naked? You know, we're naked. It was an acknowledgement of their sin. They had just committed a sin. They had done something that was wrong in the eyes of God, and they had acknowledged that, you know. But now I believe that as human beings, we have abused that. So we create false situations so that we can place shame on people. So this is not the natural occurring one that helps to build your character and make you a better person. Now, this are a group of people or society, or some people who say patriarchy, whatever, whoever it is that has that power or authority is able to create false narratives, false stories, false, you know, evidences, and then place shame on you. And if you look at the things that they are placing, you know, the things that they are talking about, really is not something that makes you, you know, it's not like you have done anything bad, not to yourself, not to someone else, but because someone believes that they are more powerful than you, they are going to make you small. So it's the abuse of that thing that is our problem. And in Africa, there are many things that we have, that we are dealing with. We have fought some, we are overcoming some, but there's still a few more that we're dealing with, and we're hoping that it's not something that we put on our female children that we're raising. You know that shame of, I can't approach my husband in intimate situations. You know, the way that it is being told at first, the way a person is groomed that way, you are not made to feel as if it's a bad thing. You're made to feel as if you are a child of virtue.
Okay.
That's why you should be this way. So you're growing up not thinking that there's anything wrong with you. You think that I'm doing it right. It shows that I'm a good child. It shows I'm a good woman. I'm a well-trained woman. I'm a woman of virtue. But by the time, but we now know, we know differently.
Better.
And, when it comes to conversations about shaming women, I always believe that our allies, the men, have to play a strong role. We have some men who have always recognized from far some of the things that they knew were not fair, unfair things that were done to women. But they have spoken of either in hiding, they never want to come out and show because, or else they will be shamed as well. You hear the word now that they throw around for men who sort of support women is simp. Oh, this one, you're just saying it so that they will like you. This one, he is not man enough to chase a girl on his own terms, and so he has to say some things to support her so that they will like him. So there are a lot of things that we need to discuss concerning shame, but I feel that we are getting somewhere. We're not where we used to be.
Yeah, things
Our
have
mothers
changed.
are looking at us and saying, you are so blessed.
You're so bold.
During our time, I
Couldn't
My
do
mom,
this.
do you know there's one thing about shame? My mom gave me one example. She says that during their time, by the time you start having children, you're not expected to wear bra or dress up.
And look nice, and still look
you
nice.
just have that when a woman who has had children starts wearing bra, they'll be like,
Looking good.
she's wearing bra. What is she feeling like? I said, wow.
As in, I cannot even believe it.
That they will shame you.
Whoa,
And so, to show that you're a good mother who is giving birth, and
virtuous
you will let them
breastfeeding.
go. Oh, yes. You
Tie
let
that
them
wrap
go.
and yaga.
Oh my
Drama
God.
2, let's hear
Yeah,
you.
so shame for me, we really need to define this shame because for me, shame, like for example, let me move to, let's say, body shaming. I know of somebody, a friend who is on big side. And I know every single time people are always like, you are so fat, you are so this, you are so that, you can't take part in this, you can't do this, you can't do that. They have already started sowing a seed of this thing in her. So she started losing, she became depressed, she became so worried and all. She doesn't, when we are having conversations, like she can't come in. At the age she got in, she can't even participate in it and all. At some point, there was a time she wanted to commit suicide.
Whoa.
And she, we noticed because she started staying indoors and all because everybody is always body shaming her. When she wears a clothes, be like, go and look for a clothes that fits you, that is your size, that will bring the best in you and all. And she'll be like, this is what I want to wear, and and everything. So gradually, she was just sinking into that depressive mood and all. And then she wanted to commit suicide. It was God that helped us. Her mother noticed, then she invited her friends who were always coming to the house, talking to her, kept on talking to her, taking her out, and then we started making her feel comfortable in her own skin and all. And then regarding this sex something to your husband and all, I don't think, you don't have to say, I want to have sex or something.
Yeah. Why can't you?
Now.
You can
No, that's the problem. That's the problem, Ramatu.
You can
Why can't you?
seductively ask for sex.
Why?
That's how a woman is.
Sometimes
That's how culture. That's how culture.
Yes.
A woman is
Because so personally, I don't think it's wrong to say I want to. Honey, I'm ready. Let's go. I don't think it's wrong. But we were taught not to do it that way so that you're not perceived as loose. Now, before I come to you again, let's talk about the perspective of the men in question. Because we, the women, we teach our other girls and women, do it this way, do it that way, from where we're seeing, based off of the experience we've had with the men. Now, the men also have their own perspective of seeing you a certain type of way. Let's take, for instance, if you are the first person to toast a guy, right?
Automatically, you're a loose girl.
Thank you. So let's also go to help us address that perspective of the men in question. Some of them are the cause of what we are also going through. We are all working hand in hand. But let's give them some blame this morning.
So pretense might be, people might pretend. We were having when I was doing a Sexually Confident Woman conference, there were some things we said during the conference, and some women said they cannot. I think it was even you and I that had the conversation that women do not know how to go and tell their husband that they are like they are interested in this style or in this way.
Yeah.
Because the husband will ask them, where did you
learn it from?
Who taught you? So we now said at the conference that tell them that TMO said we have done sexually confident so that you can then go confidently and ask your husband and say, this is what I want. And it was conversation like this that brought about me putting together that conference then, because it was very obvious that women repress their sexuality. One, because they were told to. Two, because they felt that would make them look more virtuous to their husband. It would make them look more womanly and more pure. Yes, they will look pure because everybody wants to marry a pure.
Yes.
The perception is guys want a pure girl. They they would sleep around with plenty. That's what they told us.
Yes, when it's time to marry.
You men, you will sleep around with plenty women, but when you want to marry, you want to marry the pure one. The one that is a virgin category. That's the one you want. So the ones that have done Orishirishi too, they will come and pretend like they've not done anything before so that we marry them. Yes, so that sometimes is the reason a lot of women have had, they didn't, some women have had, I was listening to a
Can I pause you a bit? I'll come back to you. We have a caller on the line. Good morning.
Already? Okay.
They're enjoying the topic already. Good morning. Abosede. Are you there?
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, sir. Okay, I think we have to go. Stop.
So, I was watching a podcast yesterday about a girl that said she had 6 children when she was 25 from like 3 different men. And
By the time she was 25.
By the time she was 25, she had 6 children. She had her first child at 16. And she kept trying to look for love. And she knew that she was dealing with trauma. And that made her keep feeling like she needed to give her body to a man to keep the relationship. And she was always getting pregnant. But what really touched me about it was the fact that this is not a Nigerian, this is in America. The society did not, the society usually would say, this is a you are done for. You will never find love again. You will never find a man to accept you. So we see a lot of women out of shame in Nigeria that have experienced just having one child, hide that child, they will claim it is their mother's baby. Child so that they can avoid it. Is because of like Bisi said, there is the perspective of the men and the way we've been told what they expect. Yeah. And so we are giving them what they want because they will not marry us as who we are. So we will present ourselves the way they want. Accept us. And we, as human beings, as women, we need to get comfortable with ourselves because once we are comfortable with ourselves, the men we are hoping to receive us will not be able to, enjoy that relationship. Some women in their 40s and 50s now come to like, this is who I am.
Everybody.
So that's when you now have friction and divorce. They say the highest number of divorce happen between above 40. Because women now, they've seen themselves, they are tired of pretending and tired of holding back. So they just, you better just
anything that wants to happen,
I am above 50. I am not going to take it. I have taken this in my 20s, in my 30s, now I'm in my 50s, and then we see that. But there was something I was going to say that, there's another part of shame. Saying no when you mean to say yes. When they touch a girl, like, I'm not. But your body, say no as no.
Mean it.
Say yes and own it with your full chest when we come back.
On that note, we'll take a short break. When we come back, the conversation continues and we'll take a few more messages. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We are still having the conversation on shame and all the ways we have been shamed and how we can move away from that.
And how, some of the expectations that, have been placed on us. And Tokwe said something, she was leading somewhere, and I wrote it down because sometimes these expectations has put us in trouble. The expectations of how we should conduct ourselves, it has put us in trouble. Ramatu was saying that as a woman, there's a way when you want it, you should act, So we know, we've always heard the story of when a woman wants it, instead of saying yes, she says no, but her body is saying yes, but her mouth is saying no. And that has led to issues where women have been raped. Because a man says, yes, she may have said no, but I could read her body language. And it now became this full-blown campaign where we're saying our consent, you must seek our consent before anything. Our no means no. So we have now started teaching our young girls that when it comes to situations like this, open your mouth and say the
what
word.
you want. Yeah.
And for you, the man, once she says no, it has nothing to do with her body language. She has said the word to you, no. It's important for you to stop. There's no excuse of it was her body language. No more. And so what I'm saying is, over the years, see how we have put a whole group of people in trouble, the men and the women. So young men too are growing up. They're learning from other men. How do I approach this? In how do I conduct myself when I'm with a woman? And he has learned from older men that she may say no with her mouth, but it's her body he should be looking at. So the man now finds himself, I'm not giving excuses to rapists, please. A man now finds himself doing what he feels he's supposed to do and being accused of something else. Or you've had situations of men who say, she said no, and so I gave her space, and then they will say the next day, the woman will say,
cannot even cross pillow.
You could not even act like a man. Because I say no, you could not do,
this,
you know,
yeah,
so
mixed
signals and miscommunication. So our no should be our no, and we should respect that. And women should be bold enough to be able to say exactly how they feel, what they feel. Now, in marriages, when we're talking about this intimacy, I feel that women in marriages, there are different ways that we can express ourselves. We can use our words, and because of the length of time you've been with your partner, there are some signals you send off anyways. But have you realized that sometimes you get married to, when you get married or you're in an intimate relationship with someone and you're acting in the way that society expects, and the person now tells you, Auntie, I beg, it's not my style. I actually prefer...
Open your mouth and tell me.
Tell me what you want and how you want it, you know? So that's what I was saying earlier, that some men understand that these things are not important, but they are not our allies in public. They're allies in the room.
Yes. Come out and stand for us.
Say, yes, I like when my woman stands up, speaks her mind, says how she wants it. And it's okay, you know, and then...
So we have a caller, Damilola from Ota. Good morning, Dami.
Hello, my name is Dave.
Good morning.
Honestly, you ladies, you're always positive, my friend, with the way you give your analysis. Especially deep food and the lady across you. I think there's something that is always missing. People must learn to seek wisdom, knowledge, and understanding.
Okay. Can I speak up a bit?
Yes, I said both men and women must seek wisdom, knowledge, and understanding before venturing into a relationship. Those three aspects are very, very important in the life of a man and that of a woman. See some young women out there now at the age of 25, ask them, what kind of man do you want? Either she's telling you, tall and handsome, good-looking, God-fearing. I was like, is that end? What about his consciousness of consciousness, his maturity, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding? And so are the guys too. What kind of woman do you want? Beautiful, tall, and is that all? When there are over 25 basic things you should even look at in your partner, and you're telling me tall and handsome, only 3, is that all?
That's not all.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. But actually, that's not all. But that's what gets the attention.
Yes.
Tall, handsome, and they were not looking and God-fearing. No, I did not add God-fearing. Yes, because I was raised to fear people who put God in front of them.
Very important.
And that saved me, actually.
Yes, very
important. I didn't put God-fearing. Tall, handsome, well-spoken. Then when we now zoomed in, okay, intelligence is there. Oh, he has a plan. Oh, he has a focus. He has a... You know, we still go there, but at least the first things that attract. But let's not deviate from the conversation. Now, I want to talk about other aspects as well before I come to you, Ramatu. So it's not just about the sexuality part of it, right? We still have, you know, the way we shame people when some things do not come to them when they expect it to come. For instance, yes, you've graduated from school, you are hitting 24, 25, 26, and everybody's looking at you. You're not married, and then you're shamed for that. Or you finished from school, you didn't get a job. You know, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you are struggling. You are shamed for that. There are other aspects, pockets of things that you are shamed for once you don't hit societal expectation. How do we begin to own the life, the lemons that we have been given to say, I did not choose this, it came to me, but I'm going to make the best of it. and then you add you can start with what you wanted to say, then add.
Okay, so what I wanted to say before, I wanted to talk about Miriam, where she said when a lady says no, she means no. So in the other room, I want you to know, like, there are some women, they will lead you on. You'll have started doing stuff and everything. Then at one particular point, you'll now start hearing them saying no, 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 no. Say no from the beginning if you are sure that you don't want to go on with the...
You can still say it in the middle.
You can still say in the middle.
Even at the end.
You could have changed your
Even
mind.
at the end.
Yes.
It's not working, it's not working.
Yes.
At the
Because,
end.
because the repercussion is too heavy.
It's too heavy.
Yes, the repercussion is too heavy.
But you know it's
But at
risky.
one particular point,
You know it's
yes.
risky.
Yes.
Because some people do not have control. Some people do not have
But
control.
when, after leading to that
Yes,
level...
once they get to a point, they are going, no. They will not hear
Let
your
me
no.
just use Ogumola's tweet to buttress.
Okay.
Says no means no and yes means
Yes.
no.
Okay.
Especially when a girl can consent and unconsent at will now. My wife will rather go to the gallows than ask for intimacy.
Wow.
I think the Naija woman needs to be more self-confident and truthful to their needs and wants.
I like that.
So yes, he's right about that. But there's a reason why, for most women, they have not been truthful to their needs and wants. Is what we're
shame.
discussing is the shame.
Yeah.
This society, these men, this group of people have already
Even you that
shamed
you're talking
her.
with still shame her.
Yes, that will shame her. So she has learned that. She's learned not even from personal experience, from her parents' personal experience, from friends.
To hold it
and
in.
you hear what they have gone through. So to protect yourself going forward, you're like, oh, okay, so this is how to do it. So to say Nigerian women need to be more confident.
Are you supporting
you
us to
need
be?
your support to
Yeah.
make a woman more confident.
like
But you know, you were talking about all the other things that, you know, women face. So some of the things that women are shamed for is after a death of a spouse, the time she takes to find love.
Yeah.
God help her if she finds that love within a year.
Ew.
Oh, 2 years even.
They have been dating
But the
before your
man
husband
in
died.
6 months, they can tell him.
What is 6 months?
Yes.
waiting for?
What are you waiting for? You're a man. You need someone
1
to
week.
take care of you. But that woman is in trouble. She even
Considers it.
entertains a friend, and you know, while she has lost her husband. Then we're talking of divorces too. Divorcees, they go through a lot of shame.
They do.
Male and female.
Yeah.
More female,
divorces.
male care.
Male.
Where are
For
you?
female is more.
Please,
Are you in
where?
Nigeria
More
here?
for
Maybe in church,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
in the whole world else is
Ah,
the
it's
woman.
woman. Aye.
She's
She can't
the
even
only one.
move on.
There's nothing
children will
to be
attack
just
her.
because she's divorced. She's now a bad woman.
Yes.
It was bad in the marriage.
Yes.
Must have been her fault. She's a bad
couldn't
mother.
make it work.
Everything that happened must have been her fault. But now we're having conversations. So you're saying, how do we make it different? It's these conversations, and then seeing those bold women, confident women, they are willing to live their truth in spite of whatever your
what you're
hang-ups
saying.
are,
Yes.
and then seeing them succeed. Then, you know, people now have a different perspective. Like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now it's not so bad. There's nothing to be shamed for since she didn't do anything wrong. This, as you said, this is what God, the life has given her, and she's making the best use of it.
Yeah. So we have another caller, Ezinne from Abuja. Good morning, Ezinne.
Good morning.
You're live, we can hear you.
Okay, when it comes to shaming women, I think we all have to break free of this barrier. That society, religion, and even like our culture, plays.
Religion. Oh, sorry. Wanted to go to
She can call us
culture
back.
and religion. Yes, stop it.
So, you know, when we talk about the shame associated with not fulfilling society expected,
Expectations.
you know, like expectations, I feel that it's an unconscious thing, Seth. A lot of people end up repeating what we have seen over and over again. You've seen, even sometimes that they get corrected, they're like, I can't believe I did something like this, because really we know better, but we're not consciously doing it. When a friend, when somebody is not married, a woman is not married in her 40s or 50s, you're beginning to look at her like, what's going on? Or somebody is married and hasn't had a child. Even though you know, like scientifically, like it's not anything she's doing that is stopping her from having a child, you will still be, there's still that
Insinuating.
those insinuations that comes of the look that is, like, they say one lady was like, she felt so comfortable attending children's birthdays because as she doesn't even get invitation, her friends, their kids would have birthdays and they would not invite her because she doesn't have a child.
Oh.
And it's just, they used to hang out there. I say most of our hangouts are children hangout, and since the person doesn't have a child, the person is not brought in. So there are lots of unconscious things that still send that shame message to the person who has, by no will of him or herself, found themselves in that situation where they are, and they are being shamed for being in that situation. It's not your fault that your partner died. It's not your fault that you don't have a child. It's not your fault that you're not married, but you are shamed for it. It's very annoying the way they call out Linda Ikeji on being unmarried.
Like, you know why? You don't know why?
Why?
She's thriving. You have to find something to make
them.
That is life for you.
Why would you
be successful without a man?
If she was not married,
she was crying
and always crying and telling us how sad she is. Oh, be like, don't worry, we are praying for you.
Yes.
But because she dares to thrive and
dares
happy,
to be everywhere.
And they have money.
She went on vacation and see the comments. Who is taking the picture? The chair, there's a man there. You should show the face of the man. I'm like, why are you? Like, you should not be shy to have a man. I'm like, really? Oh God, let me just even leave these people alone, because people just feel like you are not entitled to living your life. And the conversation today is to let you know that, yes, like Mariam said in the beginning, shame is actually a good thing when it is brought up based on you doing something bad, holding you back from doing something bad. Is like, remember the son of whom you are. Is that you don't bring shame to your name. You must not be caught stealing. That is right, true shame. Yes. You must not be caught in a situation that embarrasses your good heritage. That's a good shame. But when we shame people for something 100% out of their control, shame person for being hungry, shame person for being single, then we are like, you are so, see the way you are eating, you are so hungry. Hello, how is it? The person is hungry. You should not eat like that. You should not do, let's allow people to be themselves, because that's why we have a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of pretense, because of the shame of how they'll be perceived if they are being their true self.
Yes, so where do we now draw the line between allowing people being themselves and not allowing them go overboard? So we live in a world now where there's a lot of freedom. And they say with freedom comes responsibility. Unfortunately, we see people who want to jump at the freedom without having any sense of responsibility. And now that we're saying, okay, stop shaming women for this, that, are we not afraid that at some point we may have to bring back this shame to help mold the society? Because now everybody thinks, okay, I have a right to do it anyhow I want, and there's no care. But we need to also find a balance between allowing people be their authentic self, allowing them live out their lives the way they desire it, or the way the life has been given to them or handed to them, and not make them feel bad for things that are not their first choice, so to speak. But what if it's their first choice and they have chosen to lead that way? How do we consider that conversation? And how are we not sure that we are just opening the floodgates for everybody to misbehave? Maybe Miriam can help me here.
So what I hear you say, there's this new mantra that we have now. Shame, you cannot shame the shameless. But we know where it came from. To be honest, it was because of situations that we've spoken about, previously.
Can I pause you and take Amaka? Amaka, good morning.
Good morning, Obi.
Good morning.
Good morning, beautiful ladies.
Good morning.
You two must use our nickname.
You all look good this morning.
Thank you.
I want to join in this conversation.
Okay.
And I really like the topic about how women are experiencing or being shamed. In fact, I have the last one that you just said as regards to marriage. Growing up, after my university, I didn't get married on time. I got married in my 30s then. And I had one incident that I've never forgotten. We went for a wedding of one of our colleagues in the office, and she happened to be my cleaner. Then I was the manager. And the person that was supposed to be her chief bridesmaid did not come. We went all the way from Port Harcourt to Lagos for that event. Wow. And when I turned in and I said, I'll do that for you, everybody was shocked. So we were happy. I became chief bridesmaid to my cleaner and to my helper. And today, he never forgot it. I have one other one again. We went, bought Ashwebi. We were dancing with all amount of happiness as in you're not married and you're seeing people getting married. I like it, and I'm like, no problem. Everybody in the church were like, see them as old as they are. Instead of them to be thinking how they'll get married, people are dancing and you're happy. In Nigeria, we have one big problem. I see it as a problem. people looking at you and they don't know what you go through. Rather than sympathize with you, you see somebody that doesn't have a child, rather than you knowing that there's a problem. If I'm married for 4-5 years and I don't have a child, there's an issue somewhere.
Yeah.
You rather hear them ask you, you never reach where you go born.
Ew.
Rather than telling you, you look so good this morning, you'll be hearing, have you thought of how you will get married? Or have you thought of how you have a child? So in Nigeria, we have this issue of moderating between what shame can do to you emotionally and what shame too can do to you to push. My late sister, my elder sister, got married very early and she didn't have it well because it was no experience from anywhere and quite early. So I personally, coming behind her, said I will not get married early, even when my parents were on me. They will come back and I had my first car and my driver and they are like, you don't want married, being an Igbo person, you don't want to get married, you are just doing things then. I did it for them for more than a year when I bought a land and started building because to them it was like a taboo. You don't want to get married. They are talking of you don't want to get married. You went and you bought a land and you're building. My parents, maybe they would have even killed me there. So those are the little things that things to do for you. But when I got ready and I was ready and fully prepared, both emotionally and otherwise, to get married, I could look the man in the face and tell you that, see, this is what happened to my late sister, and I'm not ready for anybody to kill me. If you're ready, like we'll walk it. If we are not ready, we know where to peg it and go back. So I could, so my sister. So that was how it is. But in Nigeria, it is not that way. For some people, you're overbearing. I remember the first day I met my sister-in-law, and she was like, you're so quiet. I said, no, sister, I'm not a quiet person. I am very loud. Very, very loud. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I did not say yes.
Thank you, Amaka. Thank you so much for sharing.
Personal stories that are very touching.
Maria was taking us somewhere.
Okay. So we're talking about how the balance.
Yes.
And Amaka also brought another perspective, the balance so that we don't go overboard on each side. Sure. So I mentioned you cannot shame the shameless. And it's the truth. A lot of people had to pick up that mantra and embrace it.
Yes.
Because you're a woman of a certain age, you dress up nice, you go for a wedding, instead of being complimented for the way you look. They're like, you're dressing, you're looking happy, you're dancing. When your younger ones are the ones get. So people were, yes, I'm here and I'm proud and I'm confident, you will not shame me. But now we're also getting to a point where those who were not aware of the battle that women were fighting, they just saw the behavior
and jumped
on it for things that they should be ashamed for. So instead of when you do something bad and you feel shame, that shame that is supposed to help keep you accountable so you do better for yourself and for those around you, you've now decided to carry this mantra, but that mantra is not meant for you. You'll be doing things, you'll be opening your mouth, saying some things,
I am. This.
Let her finish.
Open your mouth and come back. You'll be saying some things with boldness, and you cannot shame the shameless. Auntie, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Exactly.
There are some things you should be ashamed of. My husband was telling me, he said a long time ago, he was driving, right, and he saw a woman driving in her car with a boy who may have been around 4. In front, standing up, no seatbelt. So in his mind, he thought, mothers can be distracted. So he really drove up to her to see. It was like, Madam, your child, seatbelt. Then she looked at it, wonder, how is that your business? He was like, thank you. You're right.
Sorry.
I moved. She's in her mind, don't shame the shameless because, but that was something she should have been ashamed of by realizing that I've done something wrong. I did not think through, but thank you for letting me.
So we need to find a way to put that line so that people really don't go overboard. But let's take a breather here. When we come back, the conversation continues. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. This conversation, I don't think we can finish it today. But Tope had something to say.
Mariam was saying something about, not that she already landed the point that there's some things that we should be ashamed of, that we must own, and too much of everything is bad. So if we say too much of shaming is bad, too much of being shameless too can be bad, because you watch some people on social media and like, this is an embarrassment. I mean, woman, man, how can you be talking like this? And then somebody will look at me and think I'm in the same category of this shameless person. So there's a lady that went viral, and she was talking about 500,000. I'm like, how much is 500,000 naira, if not for poverty mindset that is worrying you to be thinking somebody giving you 500,000 naira one day is an impressive thing. If you know what you carry and know what you can create.
She said minimum.
Minimum.
She said minimum. And in the morning, by evening, you should drop 500,000 in her account.
And the fact that
her call time, please.
And the fact that that one even landed, like it was received on the social media space. And some people were as shameless as she is to support what she said. I'm not against a man taking care of a woman. Neither am I against a woman asking for something if she needs from a man. And I'm not against the fact that if a man can afford to, he should take care of his wife or his girlfriend. I am against the entitlement of thinking that the basis for a relationship and to judge because I am a woman means I must collect this amount of money in quantum of this range from a man. So, like I said, I'm not against collecting, I'm not against asking, I'm against the entitlement of someone sitting there and saying, as a woman, shameless. So I feel like, yes, when you know who you are, some men cannot give you, I'm going for some speaking engagements. When I see the honorary, I'm looking at that. Like, people know, when they know who you are and what you're worth, they will not offer you some amount of money because they know what. I have mentors I want to give gifts to. Even by myself, I am looking at the gift and saying, this gift is so small, I need to give something better. So if you are truly carrying and you embody what you're worth, you will not need to make any request or demand. And we should not normalize what is wrong.
Well, we have different opinions. Yes, I beg to differ on that. But because that's not so that we don't deviate from what we are saying today, we're just going to be wrapping up this conversation because we have a guest that will be coming in soon. But what I've gotten from you ladies so far is that shame is a necessary emotion that we must not throw away totally, right? We should have some level of shame because it's sort of helps us, guide our lives so that everybody's not jumping off the bridge because I can live my life the way I want it. And sometimes the way we define authenticity is actually even not what it is, really. Authenticity is about living your truth without hurting other people, basically. But sometimes we do things anyhow and we feel, I'm just being authentic. I'm in my space. I'm this. Allow me to do this. So we must be able to have that level of shame that sort of pulls us back when we are misbehaving. We also touched on the perspective of the men also in supporting us with these shame issues. Yes, don't enable the shame by, a lady likes you, walks up to you and says, can we date? And then you say, because she toasted me, I did not toast first. Which law says that you must be the one to toast first? Anybody can toast, right? Accept it and also support the fact that she was bold enough to state her feelings, yes. And we also touched on the fact that when women say no, they mean no. And women too need to mean what they say. So don't be saying no and your body is dancing yes. Yes, don't confuse people, please. Don't give them mixed signals. Say your no and mean the no. You can say it in the beginning, you can say it in the middle, you can say it in the end. God help you that you are with somebody who has self-control. Because if you extend it to the middle and the end and the person cannot control themselves, or yours is your case. So say it from the beginning if you can, and save yourself all of those stress. And, Tope also touched on the fact that, shame is a tool for humiliation that a lot of people, use against another. We need to do better for ourselves and also help other women to, since we are confident now, let's help our sisters to become more confident in their own body. So if you like him, tell him you like him. Let's take a short break. When we come back, the show continues. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So earlier this month, we discussed the federal government approving the prohibition of money rituals and the glamorizing of vices in Nigerian films. Joining us now is the Executive Director of the National Films and Censors Board, Mr. Shaibu Hussiene, to discuss the clarification of placing a ban on smoking and rituals in films. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, so when that ban came and everybody was talking about it, I remember we had a conversation and I tried to find, sense in understanding what the ban is and how it could help also preserve our culture and our story to the world and also our perception. But when I went back and thought about it, I'm like, hey, is this not going to be stifling our creativity in a lot of ways? And I'm glad you're here to clarify what exactly that ban means for the creatives.
All right, thank you for having me. There was no time I mentioned anything about banning smoking scenes. I never pronounced any ban on smoking scenes. But of course, you know that we're in an era where everyone is a journal, and you just pick up a story, you don't even read the story, and then you fly a headline. I even asked a lot of people, after reading the headline, did you read the story? And you found anywhere where I was quoted to have banned smoking scenes and ritual scenes in our movies. The implication of that headline is that in Nigeria, there will be no longer any film that has smoking scene and the rest. How is that even possible?
Oh, wow.
It's not possible. You see, Nigeria has passed a tobacco act. There's a National Tobacco Control Act, 2019. So since from 2019, there have been so many efforts by different institutions to implement provisions of that act. Agencies like NACA, National Civil Aviation Authority, they have implemented the one on aviation, where you don't smoke in the plane. Formerly, people smoke inside the plane.
Yeah.
But now it's an offense to smoke inside the plane. It's part of the implementation. ARCON and NBC have implemented the one of ban on no TV adverts again. Our responsibility as regulators of content is to ensure that there is no promotion and there's no promotion and glamorization of tobacco, narcotics, money ritual, and all these things in our film. We didn't say that if there are necessary smoking scenes that you require for historical accuracy, that you require for educational purpose, or to correct negative lifestyle, by all means, please have it in the film.
Okay.
But what the new regulation says is that you must give a warning from the beginning of the film that the actors, the filmmakers, no one is there to glorify or glamorize smoking, and it is not. And we please know that smoking is injurious to health at the beginning.
Yeah.
Then, when a smoking scene is on, you just put a liner. Smokers are liable to die young, or whatever information.
That would distract us from the movie, though.
Oh, please, we need it.
Let me tell you a creative way to do it. As he's smoking, there's a cup on his table that says smokers are liable to die young. You have done it.
That's a creative way.
Simple as that.
That's not a creative way.
Yeah.
And then, in fact, this thing about creativity you talked about. There's also more creative ways that they do it in Hollywood now. In Hollywood, somebody may be smoking, and the next person says, "You're still in this habit? This will help you. This will take you far." And then
the movie continues.
The movie continues, part of the dialogue. And then at the end, you give a warning, just the way you do for animal cruelty, not the way you do for some stuff. You need to let people know that there is a warning that is attached to it. That's what the regulation talks about. Nowhere in the stakeholders' engagement that I had, and you are hearing it on your view, nowhere did I say ban on smoking scenes. It's not even possible. Even the world, they are trying to ban smoking generally. They cannot
succeed.
Yes.
But they have been putting certain regulations in place that will help protect our young ones from not thinking that it is all right. It's a lifestyle to smoke. It's a lifestyle to kill people. In fact, what is even happening about the money ritual thing and the ritual killing thing is that these guys, we have had cases, we have heard of young people who told us that it is from what they saw that they did this.
Yeah.
There's a particular one I saw, and I wrote to the filmmaker, what is the moral
message
of this one? A guy and a lady went on what they call hookup, and took her to the house, drugged her, got her like she was no longer able to know what's happening to her. She tied her hands, got her on her knees, then used one knife and did one, and cut off her head.
Oh.
Her head fell down. You know, in the industry, we are very graphic when we show those things.
Yes, we know how to do that.
Cut it, you will see head fall down. Then you see blood gush out. Then the next thing, you start seeing dollars coming out of the head.
What's the meaning of
Dollars
that?
everywhere in the room. What are you trying to tell the person there? But in any case, we are not bothered about content because some people at home, we write you now and say, that's legislating art. No, we will give it the required rating. As a classification board. We will give it the required rating, and then we will tell you, please warn, that no head, nobody was injured.
Severed.
No head was severed, nothing. And this thing is just a figment of my imagination as a filmmaker. That's it.
Let's get in more questions.
Okay, so while the Nigerian Film and Censors Board are doing a whole lot in rating movies, I feel that there's very little that they can do because the world has become so global. We're all watching Netflix, and I would see a movie rated 13 on Netflix, and I'll feel, okay, my children should watch it. Hey,
No,
because
13,
what you will see, that 13 is not what I want my 13-year-old to see, or even my 15-year-old to see. Is it possible for the Nigerian Film and Censor Board to regulate even foreign content that are being shown within our country? That's one. Then social media itself has become content. Like, you are regulating movies, but people are not even movies. People are watching skits have become like, you can spend the next 1 hour watching people doing all sorts of things online and seemingly glorifying and glamorizing the things you just said shouldn't be. So how do we move from just being a regulatory board? How can we update it to the current realities of our content consumption?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. The law gives us the power to classify and to regulate contents that are produced in Nigeria and that are imported to be exhibited in Nigeria. All these platforms you mentioned are basically distribution platforms, like YouTube, like Facebook. They are basically, people make their content and pass it there. But we have discovered when I took over, by the way, I just got appointed in January and I took over in March.
Congratulations.
So it's March to now, it's like 3 months. So, but what I've done between this time that I've taken over is to engage the platform owners and let them know that we have a law in place, you know, and the law says that every content that is produced here or imported to be shown here must be classified by the board, and they will give you the right classification, and then you must ensure that that classification symbol stays on the picture throughout and some of them are complying. But in any case, I told them we have been having a series of engagement with them, and we first told them about the law, and then we now told them a second thing, community standards. Community standards abroad may not be the same community standards with ours here. What is permissible in the United States, for instance, 16 years is the age for becoming a youth. But here is 18. Here is 18.
Even 22.
So there are things that you permit. There you can permit a same-sex content. Our law prohibits same-sex here. So we can't permit all that. So you need to adjust your community standard to suit with us. And they are doing it in other parts of the world. Look, I was in Cyprus, I think, on an official assignment. And then I wanted to watch a musical video of one of our big hits. You know, they said, he has just dropped a video. And I wanted to watch it in Cyprus. Hard as I tried.
You didn't get it?
I didn't get it. On YouTube. They told me this content is restricted
in this area.
And why? Because of certain depictions. There was smoking. In fact, you know, when in theater, we use what they call smoke machine. You know. But in this particular video, it was the people smoking that There was smoking everywhere. They were drinking, they were carrying bottles of alcohol, heavy alcohol. They were smoking. There was somebody there. You know now, you know, in those days when narcotic use of drugs and the rest is not so prominent, you will just find them, they will spread some chalk on the floor and somebody is doing that. There was somebody consistently in a 3-minute video behind. He was just doing it on the table. He was just doing that on the table. So what we are saying is that these depictions, this glamorization, this promotion, in fact, it's the promotion. You know why? They have stopped the tobacco companies from advertising on television. So they have found film, video,
going into
and
movies,
as an avenue to promote cigarette smoking.
Products.
You know, there was a skit I saw even before I became ED. The skit was a guy sent his younger brother, who was just 7 years old, to go and help him buy cigarettes in a skit. And then the boy went and he said, tell the man there to light the cigarette. The man did it, gave it to the boy. As the boy was coming, he saw flame coming out and wanted to find out how this flame will come out. So the guy got to a junction and dragged 7-year-old boy.
No, that's rubbish.
It's not you.
And they call that his skits.
Yes.
We need to regulate this.
Yes, now.
As a filmmaker, you have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you that you don't have to write that particular scene in your film.
For a 7-year-old.
No, for a 7-year-old. And then you know what is funny about the skit? He says, how this cigarette comes small like this? He said, go ask Malam. So by the time they went there, Malam said, ask the boy. He now chased the boy. So he fell down on the floor. And then people started laughing. Ha, ha, ha. That was the skit. What's the message?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It wasn't even funny.
That means...
what is the consequences? Because another thing they tell me, oh, once it's negative lifestyle at the end, there's consequences.
Thank you.
He fell down. That was
Sometimes the consequences in some of these our films don't balance
match
with
up
what
the story is about. So you find a man who killed about 7 people in the film because so wealthy in the film.
Enjoyed his life.
How you want to end the film for us is that the man gets mad and starts picking stuff from the dustbin, and then they will now put and say, to God be the glory.
You watch a lot of them. That's your job.
I've been in this business. I've been reporting film for The Guardian since 1998 till last Sunday. I've been doing it. I've been in the business. I know the business. I know them. I know what they do. So this thing is about us taking responsibility. As parents, you know, to watch out for the classification symbols, you know, and as filmmakers, to be careful with the kind of harmful content we pass. We were in Enugu and we had this engagement. Sorry, I beg you. We were in Enugu, we had this engagement. And the filmmaker stood up and said, if he had the knowledge of how smoking has become one of the biggest risk factors for non-communicable diseases, he would have even started to play down on smoking in his film. We are not saying that you should not express yourself, but please, when you do it responsibly, and also try as much as possible to put some warning for our young people, for parents to know that no, their kids are not supposed to see this, or this thing is injurious to health. That's all, though. I didn't ban smoking scene, so I'm telling you before these wonderful ladies and on this program.
We'll just eat you up.
Yeah.
Okay, so how are you going to ensure that this new stuff is going to be followed, and what if they don't do it? What's going to happen?
As compliance.
The law is a law. I mean, we just took part of the regulation from the National Tobacco Control Act. We just took it out for our own sector. It's like now telling me what is going to happen to an advertising company or a broadcast company who advertises cigarette, tobacco on the station.
You get penalized.
You get penalized, you know. But for the filmmakers, once we get it gazetted and it's out, we will give a date and have more engagement. They know about the regulation. Nobody should say that they don't. They know. They know they do it. In fact, on YouTube, if you have an unnecessary smoking scene in your film, they demonetize you. They already have it. They demonetize you because they know. They know what's happening. So if you flout the rule, by the time we get the gazette out and we publish it, we'll publish it everywhere. In fact, I will do a shirt and have the regulation published as I'm moving around. It will be on our website everywhere, you know. If you flout it, I think there's a 1 million naira fine there, or a year imprisonment, or both.
Good.
That's what is in the regulation.
Thank you. I was just saying,
Yes.
But, you know, one of the things I also see is just a lack of exposure, lack of education, you know, for a lot of these content creators. So it's not that they have a malicious intent. They just don't know. So what ways are you employing to help Nigerians be more educated on things like this?
All right. We have been having a series of stakeholders engagement, and we will not stop. We had one in the East. We're taking the campaign to the North, and we're taking the campaign to the Southwest. We're even going to have it very soon in the Southwest. Beyond that, there is a program that was instituted by the board before I came in. It's called the Media Literacy Program. And we hold it like on May 27th when our children were celebrating. We had it all over the country because the board has 36 state offices and 6 zonal offices. And we had it all over. We met the kids and we told them what to look out for in terms of... In fact, at one of the media literacy programs, one kid said something that I just heard now, that, sir, they start a film and they tell us that the film is 16. But when they continue the film, they remove the label. The content you now see is for maybe 14. It's no longer the kind of content that we should watch.
They're scamming viewers.
Well, yes, they are doing that. So we're going to get back to the regulators and tell them that, look, yes,
you have to do it better.
You have to do a better job. You have to take responsibility. And I keep telling these stakeholders since I took over. I told them that, look, I have come to a board that we de-emphasize censorship and do more of classification. That's what happens all over the world. In Britain, is the British Board of Classification. In South Africa, is the classification
You're not
board.
restricting...
No. Do your content, then you get your rating.
Yeah.
You get the rating that is required. And you know the thing about rating, if you get a very restrictive rating, your audience will reduce, especially if you are taking it to platforms, major platforms. You know, so we'll continue the engagement. And the engagement is not just with filmmakers, it's with parents.
Yes.
In August, we have what they call the August Meeting Literacy Program. And we're going to meet our Nimamas in the East. You know, they normally have this August meeting. We're going to meet them and say, look, you must be careful. You must take responsibility for what your kids are exposed to.
I'd like to see you guys in schools more.
Yeah,
please.
No, in schools.
More
we do it.
That's very good.
We do it. On May 27th, we were at least, like in Ebonyi State, we pulled 2,000 students from Abakaliki, and what we even do now is to support the schools to bring the kids.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you...
And maybe we can talk about how we can put some information in our school curriculum.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that when they are studying, they're already learning that.
all
Becomes
those
part of
Yes.
it. Yeah.
So how about the North? Have you been able to sensitize the North?
Yes, we're going there.
They don't.
fully.
They don't give it to us.
Even them, they self-regulate themselves.
They know what problem.
Yeah, their cultures.
We should have an industry where the filmmakers themselves take responsibility. This thing is about responsibility, really. It's not really about somebody trying to say, oh, you can't do your art, you can't do your art. But there are other ways to depict art. I saw a film from South Africa recently. It's full of blood. But you will not know that it's blood because it was done in black and white.
Whenever they get to the blood scene.
Yes, they'll just go to black and white. And that's the filmmaker taking responsibility. There are actions that you do. You know, in this country, we're just so blessed. There are some actions that we do that can even make somebody pass out.
Yes.
I saw a skit the other day. The guy was praying, was doing some herbal stuff that the EFCC... Incantation. That the EFCC should not arrest my governor. And Governor Yaya Bello and all that. You know the part that was terrible. And they wrote us from America. The guy got the chicken, bent the neck right in front of camera. There are some, I know some people can even pass out.
Yeah.
Yes.
From just
Animal cruelty now.
Yes.
And then he now squeezed this chicken that was already doing into a small pot that was not the size of the chicken.
He's an actor himself.
I need to go back to, because you've been giving a lot of examples about skit makers. And my worry is, how do we, because these people, anybody now with a phone is a skit maker.
He's a content creator.
And a content creator. There was a story that broke out. A woman went viral. She did a video in front of her daughter's school. We later realized it wasn't her daughter. Did a video saying they denied the girl from getting into the school, only to find out that she's a content creator that uses the girl for content. And the girl misses a lot of school time because she's being used in content. Now, she comes to school and says, oh, I could not come to school throughout last week. Why? We were doing skits. So if a young girl that is in secondary school is missing school because she's doing skits, we see skit makers just slapping. You will see skit makers, a woman is beating a man beating a woman, and they will say, it's not true, it is skits.
Skits.
Sometimes people have already even carried it and say, we need to find the boy that beat this girl. And they say, no, it's not true, it was just skits. So where do we draw the line between it was just skits and we're trying to make money, and as a society, we don't want to popularize these vices that we're seeing in skits?
Okay, our law presently does not capture people who just have ring lights and then they're entertaining themselves and all that. What our law captures are skit makers who are dramatizing their content. Okay. They have a set, they have costumes, they have dialogue, you know, there's a narrative that has beginning and they are doing it like it's business. But what the law allows us to do is that we will request these platforms and have requested. In fact, I think on Monday or Tuesday, one of those platforms will be having a training with my staff in Abuja. They are going to give us a deck that is required everywhere in the world. What the deck does is that if we have a reporting system where you call us and say, oh, this content, this is this content, and all that, misleading content, then we call their attention to it and tell them that this content is a problem, that we need to watch out for this content. And we have done it. I did it when they started that stuff about somebody burying himself alive and all those stuff.
Yes, that one.
We reported.
7 days.
What kind
Yes,
of
it's
content is
suicide.
that?
You're just suicide. And the law is against even somebody taking his own life.
Because it's not your life.
You know?
You don't
Yes, you know. So we insisted that they must all give us a deck as we go into our next regime of classification. They give us a deck where people can report to us, and then even our monitoring capacity, we see anything like that, we call their attention to it. Now we even found that they have moved from doing the skits to doing live. They can even go live sometimes. It's not covered in the law yet, but we have a deck now where we can report to the content, the platform owners, and say, no, this one does not. It goes against our community standards. You know, we don't take lives.
What are our own local classifications? So apart from the age, like if you watch Hollywood movie, the NSFW.
Yes, VNL.
Yes.
What is our own local to us, or is it an international standard that applies to all countries?
Yes, we follow standards. We follow the international standards, and then we have one that we don't even pray that we should implement, which is a restriction, the R. Okay. And that's because by our culture, by our religion, you can't even do like porn. Okay. You can't openly, you can't do it. You can't submit a film about throughout, there's nudity in the film and all those stuff. You can't do that. Then you cannot even do any film that threatens our national security, you know, as a country, that divides us as a people. You know, you can't do such a film. So those ones we put restriction, R. And you know, once you have a restriction, you can't show it in any public place. You can't show it on TV, on any platform that will be seen by more than you and your family members.
Scatter the movie.
Those are the things that they say is underground.
Yeah. Those ones, they go underground. But the next regime that we are going into is a regime where anyone who is doing any skit, any content must pass it through the board for classification. It's just for classification. We're not telling you to go and remove a smoking scene from it. If it is necessary for historical accuracy, for educational purpose, and to correct a negative lifestyle. Yeah,
one last question before we go. How do you want Nigerians to aid this work you're doing? How do we take responsibility? We, the consumers, what do you expect us to do when we come across certain things that are not in alignment with what we want for our society?
We condemn it. We report it. We have put some hotlines for them. Okay. And what I've even tried to do is to make sure that hotline is free. So, I mean, it's a toll-free line.
Yes, so you're not paying to report.
Yes. So because you are not paying to report. And, you know, engagements like this also help us, because I'm just going to go on your timeline now on Twitter to check responses and feedback from people. I was on radio yesterday, and people were telling me exactly some films that I must go and watch. Imagine. Because this film, this is what they are doing in the film that is not right. No, you know, feedback like that. Yes. But we must all, as parents, as future parents, let me say that those who are still single now and the rest, we must take responsibility. It's not for us. It's for our children. It's for our youth who are very impressionistic.
Very.
I tell you, as a small boy, let my mommy don't hear this one. I watched a TV where they were smoking. I went to cut my notebook.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I tried it.
Very impressionistic.
When I found out that I can't use match, and I got my mommy's powder and put inside, and I was blowing everywhere. These kids are very impressionistic, but they also read. So you must warn them. This thing, it will kill you.
Thank you so much, sir. We've been speaking with the Executive Director of the National Films and Censors Board, Shaibu Hussiene, who has come to explain to us the meaning of the ban. And I hope that everybody has gotten the message. And that's all we can take on the show today. It's going to be a very lovely weekend, by the grace of God. And your View Pageant starts tomorrow. Don't miss it. We'll see you again on Monday. Bye-bye now.